Hey everybody, Kyle Goth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and I do have my first reaction to the new Jake Kasdan directed film, Red One. This is an Amazon MGM production that will be releasing in theaters on November 15th, and then I believe at some point down the future will arrive on Prime Video. This is... So Jake Kasdan did, two of the Jumanji films. He also did one of my favorite comedies of all time, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. So I'm always on the side of Jake Kasdan. I always want to see what he's going to work on next, because usually he makes films that I think inherently don't look good, but then end up being really good. I wasn't terribly interested in seeing the movie Sex Tape, but I thought it was a pretty fun little comedy. I wasn't terribly interested in seeing a sequel to Jumanji the way that they were doing it, but I was won over, and in fact I really enjoyed the second and the third Jumanji quite a bit. Red One is not that case. Red One is, if you were going to describe any movie that sounded like it came out of an AI machine, Red One is the movie you would get, and it actually feels like that as you're watching it. Now, I know it was written by Chris Morgan, who did a number of the Fast and Furious sequels, but the thing is, the Fast and the Furious sequels always had a fun tone to them. And this movie it's like they forgot to add fun to the equation. It's like they were baking a pie and they're baking a cake and they forgot to put sugar in. Like, there's nothing sweet about the movie. It's so, like, grim and actiony, and it's treated with this serious tone that makes it so that so few of the jokes, when they actually try to get a joke in, none of them really landed. None of them really worked. It's completely devoid of that comedy kind of stylings to it. And there were some ideas that were interesting in how they did it, but they didn't really explain any of it. There's a lot of things just happening in the movie. It was a really odd title placement, because it's like Chris Evans' character Jack is kind of a jerk at the beginning of the movie. The whole point is he's going to be our character who becomes less of a jerk. And the title placement came up in this way where it's like he's just being an asshole, and that's just something that happens. The North Pole seems like it was just ripped from, like, Thor, Bifrost, and all that kind of stuff. The Rock in this movie, I really hoped that this would be The Rock playing a character movie, because I really would like to get back to that part where, remember when The Rock played characters? I know he wasn't, like, great at them, but, like, remember when he played characters in movies? He's not playing a character in this movie. He's playing The Rock. And he's always trying to seem cool in the movie. Like, he's always doing the cool thing in the movie. The only time that it felt like they were actually giving him something a little bit quirky and fun is that he has a device that can, like, shrink him down and raise him back up to normal size, but it's barely used. It's only used seemingly in action sequences, and it's not very exciting when it's used. It's definitely not like an Ant-Man style of, like, we took control of this idea and made it work for the action scene. It's literally just him shrinking, popping back up, and punching a guy, shrinking, popping back up, and punching a guy. So the action's not all that great. And he's just very deeply unpleasant of a character. The movie itself is pretty deeply unpleasant. There's plot conveniences. There's moments where it's like they didn't even really think through, like, how the gag would work. Like, there's a moment where they say box him up to Chris Evans, and they're gonna put him in a box and bring him somewhere. And it's like, you work for the North Pole. You box him up in a crate? Like, why aren't you boxing him up in a box with bow tie? Like a bow on the end and, like, ribbon. Like, but we're putting him in a crate and just moving him. Like, it's just like, it doesn't even really play with the ideas that it's presenting yourself. There's a reason this movie was filmed back in February of 2023 and not released until now, and I think it's an unfortunate case of, like, man, nothing really just works in this movie. That's not fair. J.K. Simmons works in this movie. Now, granted, we only get, like, 10 minutes of J.K. Simmons, but he's great in the movie. He's fantastic. And in fact, the best sequence in the film is a J.K. Simmons scene of delivering presents. That is a great scene. That is a downright, like, exciting sequence that's very quickly run through. The movie doesn't have a lot of J.K. Simmons in it. And in fact, it kind of broadens the idea of another movie where J.K. Simmons works out a lot, where working out actually has nothing to do with the character he's in. So we got the Justice League and we got that movie. Downright, I unfortunately, this did not work. This movie just did not work, and I'm so frustrated by it, because I don't want to go into these movies and say it's not good. I was actually thinking to myself, every time I doubt Jake Kasdan, he puts out a banger, and it swings me back in that pendulum. And I was really hoping that would be the case with Red 1, but it just isn't. This movie was just kind of unnecessarily unfunny. It didn't really have, like, it started out having a good like message, a good, you know, like Christmas holiday film message, and that gets lost. Yeah, there's elements of this movie that I feel like they thought this would be an interesting thing to do, but didn't actually like follow through on any of the mythology they'd set up. There's a lot of like the North Pole seems like you're traveling through like the Wakandan screen to get there, and there's like a Bifrost that it felt like, again, you know, the guy who was seeing the movie next to me was like, it felt like I was seeing like the worst kind of Marvel movie. And it did feel like they had just kind of Marvelized Christmas and made a worse version of it, essentially. Is they made a Marvel movie, but they made it a bad movie. So unfortunately for me, this is just a big pass. I wish I could like this movie more, because I was one of the guys I was genuinely excited to see it. So unfortunately, this one just did not work for me. But hey, when you see Red 1, if you're planning on seeing it, come on back and let me know in the comment section of this video what you thought about the film, or tweet at me, or send me a message. I'd love to hear from you, but the comment section is always there as well. Don't forget as well, you can like and subscribe. Those are 2 free things you can do that help to support the channel immensely, and you'll never miss new episodes of the show as they drop. You can also check out goatfilmreviews.com for my many written reviews. You can check out Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can follow me personally at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. And you can find my show, Kyle and Nick on Film, that I co-host with Nick Polachuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have new episodes of that show every single week. You can also check out the link in the video description here for the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance, of which I am a member. You can find other film critics' reviews of popular films, or more of my stuff over there too. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.